came up for me in you were saying, in the time bringing up forgiveness and in what Mark was saying, I always think of Shanti Deva, the great master, where forgiveness fits sort of in the Buddhist path is the highest level of patience or tolerance, the transcendental virtue of tolerance or patience, where you can suffer injury without reacting vengefully or without anger or without counter injury, and you can use injury actually. And what patience means is you use injury for your spiritual development, and therefore you become. And it's a really weird thing. It almost seems like masochism when you study it, because it's like you use injury to grow spiritually as a tremendous boost. And there's even a thing like you should really appreciate your enemies because they give you a much greater challenge to grow spiritually than your friends who are just sort of nice to you and indulge you. So, and then I think there's this tendency when we get into that area with Shanti Deva, in sort of Buddhist virtues, or transcendences, to mix it with what we have in the West, like Christian theistic things. And we think that he's saying we're supposed to be martyrs. You're supposed to forgive because you're suppressing your injury and you're being pious or something, or you're crucifying yourself in imitation of the gods, whatever, you're kind of really punishing yourself more in a certain way. Whereas, the brilliant thing about Shanti Deva's thing is that in a way, if you learn, it's sort of like a no pain, no gain thing almost. If you learn, even harm can be a motive for better development and for greater compassion and for greater bliss, actually. Then the universe becomes harmless to you. Then you cannot be harmed, actually. So that's your goal, to be invulnerable to harm, because even harm is a hell, if you follow me. And there's the most amazing passage in Shanti Deva in the tolerance, the highest level of tolerance called the tolerance of forgiveness, or the tolerance of non-vengefulness and vindictiveness, and the negative way or the positive way. And where he says, oh my goodness, dear enemy, you're doing me such a huge service by harming me. And I am so grateful to you, because by absorbing this harm, and by seeing it only as a reflection of the harm that I dished out the many lifetimes in the past, to you and to many others, but now that I'm using it creatively to develop my patience, the shining armor of my patience, it's becoming like a huge spiritual boost to me. But actually you, because you're persecuting a nice person like me, the Bodhisattva, of course you're creating the conditions for immense suffering for yourself. So I'm selfishly putting myself in your way to harm me, because you perceive me as an obstacle to your happiness. And I'm getting tremendous benefit out of it. And you are going to suffer for it. You think you're going to be happy by being mean to this bad person, or you think it's this annoying person. But actually, because I'm not that, I am trying to do the best, you are going to get a terrible time. And so then it says, well, then the Shanti Deva's mind, which argues with himself, it's so brilliant. He's the greatest person, Shanti Deva. His mind says, well, maybe you should harm the guy back, because then he would be able to practice patience, and you'd be helping him. So then he has no, because it isn't just the objective receipt of harm that gives you the ability to practice patience. It has to be the way you're receiving it, and what you're seeking to get out of it. You follow me? And then it's very life and death, you see, which is why, again, the resilience that is really, that we have the opportunity to achieve as human beings in the Buddhist tradition of psychoanalysis, Buddhist wisdom, is so huge that in order to, and the enterprise is so amazing in the idea that, imagine the idea that you completely transform all your instincts, where you have no instinct of reaction against death even. You'll be willingly killed, you just don't care. In a sense, you're even happy because you're going to get a better body next, because you're so alive to life. Life is for you boundless, and death is just a boundary. Some fool comes to shoot you or something, well, you don't necessarily want to be messy, but you know what I mean, you're just beyond totally that. You want to achieve that, that's what you want to achieve. So in that light, And Shanti Deva says, well, shouldn't I defend myself because then I can go on and practice and do a lot of great things in life if I don't defend myself when the enemy attacks? And he says, no, because, and if I need anger to defend myself, I should become angry with him. He says, no, because the anger is the real enemy. Because then I'll become angry with me, I'll be reborn as a vicious, angry creature. And what I want is I want love in the soul. I want to be love. So let them do whatever they want. The more I can absorb it, the happier I am, if you follow me. I mean, it's very preposterous in a way, but it is what they mean. So in that light, you see, true forgiveness from them comes when you're so happy yourself that you actually feel sorry for the person who harms you. You really genuinely do, whether they stop it or not. And actually, of course, if you're that happy, you might also give them a swift kick to stop them from going on. But that would be separate from and harming others, because in harming of people, people are mainly harming themselves. And once you have developed that degree of psychological resilience, where even harm is perceived by you as a way of someone reaching out to you, oh, how nice, you beat me up today and you really want a friend. It was like really weird. Those saintly people get really weird. But that's because they're not identifying with their sort of ego self that wants to like, get out of my life and I'm going to live in a high security compound until I die and that'll be the end of it and all I need to do is stay safe until I die and that's it. No. They know they're going to die sooner or later, and it's a question of quality of how alive they are. That they choose to risk the vulnerability of being killed maybe by being defenseless and being vulnerable. And then forgiveness grows out of your happiness. You know what I mean? You see some demented fool who's like, still even in your memory, who's screaming at you, losing you. It's like so laughable, and yet you have risen above it in a certain way where you even have used it. And the way of using that is you have taken upon yourself the responsibility. You don't blame anybody. You take it all on yourself. And then, people say, oh, karma, that's blaming the victim. No, I want to get back at the victimizer, But that's this endless cycle from this deeper point of view, psychological point of view. You never blame the victim if it's someone else, of course. But it's not that you want to get in the way and get the harm away from them. But when it happens to you, and you're the victim, when you blame yourself, you're no longer the victim. You've gained power over the situation. When you sit and blame the bad guys, there's no way you can deal with all the bad guys. There's so endless numbers of them. The more you blame and more reaction, more vengeance you wreak on them, the more of them are going to come and wreak vengeance on you. There's no end to that. You follow? So that's I guess the point I was trying to make, I'm trying to long-winded too. I am long-winded, not too.
It's also long-winded.
I am very long-winded, and a terrible professorly thing. But the point is that forgiving yourself and forgiving the other are some real forgiveness is simultaneous. And it really comes from joy and happiness. It's really where it comes from. It doesn't come from forcing yourself against your deeper inclination. Oh yeah, I forgive you, that's where you don't, gut-wise. And if they kicked you again, if you could, you would react viciously toward them. That's kind of fooling yourself, in a way.